Now with the established brands prices starting to really climb out of control, a lot of people are looking to these Chinese branded bikes where the manufacturers are selling them direct to the public, and some of these brands are like Windspace and Trifox, and they appear to be extremely good value. But a lot of people argue, yeah, you're great, you get these bikes, you build them up, but when you come to sell them to upgrade your bike, they've got no resale value. So I thought, let's just have a look and throw some figures around. How much do you really have to spend up front, and how much do you really lose by buying an established brand compared to a Chinese branded bicycle built up? Now, in a previous video we did, I challenged GC Performance that stated an SL7 Specialized with 13,000 US that I could build up a Chinese branded bike for half price. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out up here. Now, the price of the Specialized SL7 was $13,000 US, and I got the Chinese branded bike, which was a Windspace T1500. I got that down to 6,716, and that was fitted with Duros and Winstraight wheels and that. And if you go check out that video, you can find all that stuff out, how I spec'd it out. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to compare, if you had the bike for a year, how much it would devalue, and for a 2-year period, and how much it would devalue, and I'll apply a much more significant devaluation figure to the Chinese branded bike, and we'll see how it turns out and how much we lose in those transactions. Now, I've just done some calculations right here. Now, if we look at the SL7 and we have that for a year, and we have a for 30% devaluation over that year period, that comes to 9,100. Okay? Now, if we take the Windspace T1500 at $6,716 and we apply a bigger devaluation over the same period of 50%, we come to 3,358. Now, if we look at the losses between those two bikes, for the SL7, we had $3,900 we would have lost, and with the Windspace bike, we would have had $3,358 loss. So there wasn't too much difference, but it was still less for the Windspace bike over a year period, applying a much heavier devaluation to the Windspace bike. Get your bikes, get your bikes, get your second-hand bikes on Facebook Marketplace, on Greg's List. Get your bikes, get your bikes. Now, my second scenario is over a 2-year period. So over a 2-year period, obviously we still have the 13,000 for the SL7. And what I did is I applied a 50% devaluation on that bike, which I think is pretty fair. Usually when you come to sell your top end bikes, you get about half after about 2.5, 3 years. Now, what that would have come out to be, that would have come out to, obviously, half of 13,000 is 6,500. So we would have lost 6,500 over a 2-year period. Now, if we apply the same to the Windspace, which was 6,716, we would have 2014, because I'm applying a 75% devaluation over a 2-year period to that bike. So I would have lost $4,702. So in both scenarios, buying the Chinese branded bike, even though they don't hold their value anywhere near as well as a name bike, we still would have been better off. And I think that those devaluations were pretty fair. If people think that my devaluations were a bit unreal, let us know down below. I'll get that out, a bit of a tongue twister. But what you need to remember, even if you crashed the Windspace and you hadn't got it insured, you're only going to lose $6,716 maximum, because that's the total value of output to the bike. And if with the SL7, it would be 13,000 that you would have lost, but you probably would insure a bike for that much. But your total loss, even over Windspace, is just a little bit over half of what the SL7 cost. So In conclusion, what this points out, it points out a number of factors. Yes, you can have a brand name bike and that has some cafe clout when you're having your coffee with the boys in your group ride. But when it comes down to your hip pocket, the Chinese branded bike, and a Windspace is that you can get ones cheaper like Trifox and that, but you know, a Windspace T1500 is not that cheap. They're more pricier quality, if you want to call it quality, brand from China. And you still, in all situations, lose less money, even though the devaluation that I applied was much more significant than the branded bike. So the reality is even if you're probably thinking, hey, maybe I'll try a Chinese branded bike, you really haven't got a lot to lose, because your investment, right, and your loss is going to be less over 1 or 2 year period. Well, anyway, guys, if you've got any comments or you've had any Chinese branded bikes and you know how much you've lost, or you've bought a top-end bike, how much you've lost when you've sold it over 1 or 2 years, let us know down below. So then we can in our community, we can actually have a look at what these losses really are, and we can get a real feel if we want to buy a Chinese branded bike or we still want to buy a name brand bike. Well, that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. See you next vid. Cheers.
Mm-hmm.